So it's getting close to smallmouth bass season. Usually kicks off maybe like mid-February, late February. But I thought I'd do this video right now to show you my top 6 techniques I use to catch smallmouth bass. And yeah, let's get to it. So my number one, if you watch my videos in the past, I use the Carolina rig a lot. So that's my number one rig. I've been using the Carolina rig at least for I don't know, 20 years. First time I used it was at Del Val. There's a local, the story behind that, there was a local bait shop called Walton's Pond back in the day. And he just told me, go to Del Val, hook up this Carolina rig. You throw out that little worm and then you really go like half reel turns and then reel really slow and then basically hold on, man. So that was the deal. Back in the day, that's what my first technique I ever used to catch bass, period, was the Carolina rig. So Carolina rig's a simple setup. I mean, maybe it's almost like fishing for trout, but you just put on a worm hook at the end, so it's not that bad. So look at this setup I got. Basically, you see it? Got the swivel. Now you got the weight. Put a bead on here, and then the swivel. Basically, and then you tie on a leader line. I'm using 4-pound Maxima. You can see this is a pretty old spool. It's pretty old. And I give it about a 1 to 2 foot leader, right? And then I tie on. So the key here, so back in the day, oh yeah, hold on. When I first started smallmouth bass fishing, I used to use Walton's Pond right here. This was the bait right here. This guy right here. These have all different colors. They don't make this anymore, but this worm right here, this plastic worm, I used to use the witch's tea, brown with chartreuse tail. I used to tear it up with this bad boy right here. So initially when I did Carolina rig, I used to use this little, I have a few left over. I don't use them anymore, but back in the day it was one of these with a size 4 true turn hook. But since they don't make this bait, I changed and found a kind of an alternative, basically alternative. What I've been using, I've been using 2 types of worms for my Carolina rig. I use right here the Yum Dinger, right, and then I use, I don't have any loose. Hold on, I got right here, Robo Worms. So I've been using Robo Worms and Yum Dingers now for my Carolina rig right here. Boom, Robo Worm, right there. They're both brown. This is a little bit green. This is a little chartreuse, but so I'm using these Carolina rig. Tie on like a 1 to 4 foot leader. I'm using I use 4-pound line for the smallmouth Carolina rig. Sometimes I use 6, but when I first started, I'll always use like 4-pound line, finesse setup. And then the key for these 2 worms, so one of them, this worm, I'm gonna use size 1 hook for that bad boy. Size 1. And then for these smaller Yum Dingers, boom, going with the, right there, going with the size 4. But I always use Gamakatsu, EWG, my favorite hooks right here. Off-shank worm hook, these are my favorite hooks I use for fishing Carolina rig. Size 1 for the Robo Ned, and then size 4 for the Yum Dinger. So that's the Carolina rig. Basically, weight, bead, swivel, 4 foot, 1 to 2 foot leader, Maxima, 4-pound line. You can go 6-pound line, but nothing bigger than that. And yeah, man, that's it. And like I said, back in the day, basically, I mean, you can work it like a worm. You can move it up and down, and jerk it like a little worm. Or you can do half reel turns, move it slowly across the bottom, half reel turns. Hey man, you're gonna get bit. This is a good bait. This is a good setup, man. I've caught a lot of fish off the Carolina rig, so it's basically my number 1 setup. So, yeah, man, tie it on, man. Get ready. Season's coming up, but Carolina rig, number 1 for me. Boom. Number 2. I've used it a lot last year. It's basically a Ned rig, right? It's a Ned, but I modified using the Ned a little bit. So instead of using a full, instead of using a Ned worm, I tie on. I like the Yum Dinger, man. I don't know, Yum Dinger's catching fish for me. This one's already open. Let's use this one. So right here, basically, It's a yum dinger. See that? Same color, brown chartreuse. I catch with this one or sometimes the watermelon pumpkin, but this is like my favorite color, man. Brown with a chartreuse tail. Boom. That's it. That's the one I use. It's I don't even know what the name is, but you'll see. But that's it. This is like 3 inches. The key, what I do now, I'll cut off the first half. So all you make like this is a 2.5 inch, and put it on like the lightest. This is not the one. This is not the lightest, but I put it on like the 1/10 hook size. This is like the 1/6, but they come in smaller sizes. So if you get away with the smaller one, you get away with. If you cast out far enough, that's what I use. So the most finesse you could use. But I've been catching them off the 1/10 size. This is the 1/6, but 1/10 size yum dinger. Cut off a chunk about the first little quarter of it right there. Makes about 3 inch to about 2 3/4. And yeah, man, I caught fish off this bad boy. I got videos last year catching off the same setup right here. Ned Rig yum dinger, man. That's a good setup. So my second one is going to be the Ned Rig. So be honest with you, I've used the Ned. The first fish I ever caught off the Ned Rig was I used the TRD Trickster. This one right here, ticklers. So the first fish I ever caught off the Ned Rig was using this bait, the ticklers. The problem with these ticklers, man, they get all messed up. I think these are already messed up because, I don't know. I guess it's okay, but look at that. It's all, I don't know, man. But this is, I like this one. This is ticklers are good. This is a good color right here. So my first ever Ned bait, smallmouth was caught off of this right here. So I use this one. I use the yum dinger. And then another color I use for the this right here, watermelon red flake. I'll use this one for the Ned Rig. I did experiment using the Robo Ned with the Ned Rig. I haven't caught as many fish with using this like this setup right here. Not bad looking, huh? Might be able to catch some fish with this bad boy. But I don't know. I tried that one out. This is actually cut down too. This is shortened. This is 3 inch, but probably like 2 3/4, shortened down. Check it out, man. Try the Ned Rig. Try the Ned with the this is a Robo Ned worm. Try it with the yum dinger right here. And you know, you could go with standard the Ned baits. You can use this one or the other Ned worms, but Ned Rig is my second to number one. So number 2. That's it, man. So it was number 1, number 2. Now let's go to number 3. Number 3. Back in the day, when I used to fish like a Comanche, Pardee, I used to use this guy right here, Kalen salt and pepper grub. But this is I think this is a 4 inch. I used to use a 3 inch. I don't have any 3 inch left, but I used to use a Kalen 3 inch salt and pepper grub to catch smallmouth at Pardee big time, and also worked on spots and smallmouth at Comanche as well. This right here, I think I have a darter head. I mean, I used to put it on a darter head, right? Put it on a darter head right here, boom. Right there, man. Tail down. Put the tail down. And I usually didn't swim it. I just work it off the bottom like a worm. Work it like a worm. Darter head, Kalen 3 inch grub, man. That's a good bait. He's used a lot back in the day, man. Before these even had Kalens. We were using, no, not Kalen, Kitex. We were using Kalens. This bad boy, salt and pepper. Sometimes pumpkin works too, but salt and pepper, I caught majority of my fish using the salt and pepper right here. Gets bit. Pretty simple setup. Darter head with the Kalen 3 inch salt and pepper grub. Boom. Plus, also, you know, the other swim bait is this guy, Kitex, right? So I put these in the same category as number 3. This guy and this guy right here. I catch a lot. Kitex, man. Can't go wrong with Kitex anymore, huh? Everybody loves Kitex. This is my favorite color too, electric shad. So on a darter head, you can use it on a ball head, but this works, man. But one thing, there's one trick. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys. There's one thing, a secret weapon. You could even Carolina rig a grub. I used to Carolina rig grub too, catch a 3 inch grub, Carolina rig, but you have to use a little different hook. You have to use like the owner rigging hook. I don't have the hook with me, but even Carolina, this grub might work. So I haven't really tried Carolina and Kitex, but maybe this year I might give it a shot. But I used to Carolina rig a grub and it still get bit, man. So that's another little secret here. Carolina rigging the grub, working like, you know, just like a Ned worm or a yum dinger, any kind of worm. But that works for Carolina rig as well. So those are that's number 3. Kind kind of like swim baits, grubs, and Kitex. Number 3, darter head. You can swim it or you can work it off the bottom. Sometimes swimming it works good, sometimes you work it off the bottom, but either way, these are 2 good setups, man. And maybe Carolina rig on that one too. Let's go. All right, so that's 1, 2, and 3. Number 4, so Topwater, man. It's not on fire, but in the fall, smallmouth, topwater, I catch them off this guy right here. Heading Zara Spook, Topwater. I got him with this guy, man. So this is a good little walker for smallmouth, man. I caught some nice smallmouth with this guy right here at Del Val. So Topwater, number 4, and now this is the only one I use. I use poppers and stuff. I mean, I caught 1 or a couple off popper. I get more bites using this guy right here. So I like this one. So if you're out there, and sometimes you get little stripers off this guy too sometimes. Huh? They like this guy. They'll hit this boy. This is his bad boy. But smallmouth, topwater, Super Spook Junior, man. Bone colors. This is the one I use. I've caught fish with this guy. And then, yeah, man, I got videos of this guy at Del Val catching smallmouth with this guy. Even as late as November, smallmouth, topwater, Super Spook. That's 4, huh? Number 4. So number 5, which is sometimes my favorite of all time, that I've been using a lot lately. And look at this bad boy right here. Jerkbait, baby. Dual Realis, 100 SP, man. I've caught largies, smallies, stripers off this guy, but it does catch smallmouth too. So I like the jerkbait for smallies, especially in the fall when they're feeding on bait fish. This bad boy is going to work, and the 100 size is a good size for those bad boys. So this one right here, man, this is a good jerkbait. So I recommend jerkbait. That's number 5, jerkbait. And number 6, man, my biggest smallmouth I ever caught was at Lake Pardee Lake, whatever you want to call it. And I was using these generic. They don't even make these anymore. These generic. See, look at this. This generic jig right here. Look at that. Boom. See that? Generic. This is a no-name brand. I still got these. I bought these at Walton's Pond way back in the day. And I don't use them anymore because I don't know. But back in the day, it was pork rind. We put pork rind on these bad boys. And used to catch smallmouth all day, man. This right here, this gets bit a couple times at Pardee, man. It was nonstop bite. And somebody didn't even have a trailer on there. I just had it like this, and they were still hitting it. But a lot of times I do. I don't know if I have an example. I'll cut the barb down. I'll cut the barb down to the hook down here, so I'll make it a little bit shorter. Maybe cut right here. Cut these off. And you don't need. I don't know if you even need those, but whatever. Yeah, man. So number 6, man. So number 6, I use a small jig. This is a small finesse, it's like 1/4 ounce. Small finesse jig. And pork rind was hot back in the day. I'm not sure what trailer works well nowadays because I don't use this as much. But I know back in the day, pork rind was the number 1. So I would use this guy if you can find some pork rind. Brown and brown would work. Brown and purple. But this is a good little setup. Finesse jig for smallmouth. I caught my biggest one off this bad boy right here. I thought it was when I hooked that bad, I thought it was a snag, man. It was a snag. And then it started spinning. Woo, it was big. It was nice. But yeah, man. So that's my setups, man. So 6. I got 6 setups. Carolina rig, my number 1. I use that a lot. But lately I've been getting lazy, so I've been using the Ned Rig. And Ned Rig's easier to tie. It's faster, so I don't do the Carolina as much. But I've caught more fish off the Carolina rig than any other rig I use for smallmouth. Ned Rig, I've been catching them a lot lately off the Ned Rig. So, and it's easier to use, and I use that. I cut the Yum Dinger down like 2 3/4, and that works for me as well. Number 3, the Kitech and Kalen. Kitech I use more now, but the Kalen Grub back in the day used to work a lot. Salt and pepper. I mean, I would use that one if you have a chance. If you don't have any Kitech, the Kalen works. Put it on a darter head. Put it on a darter head. Throw it out there. You can just swim it back if they're feeding. But if they're not feeding, they can work it off the bottom. Work it slow like a worm. So you got 2 options with that. You can swim it, or you can work it like a worm off the bottom. So that's number 3. Number 4, Topwater. Boom. Topwater works. Gotta love it. Gotta love Topwater, man. When you get that smallmouth bite on Topwater, man, it's exciting. Yeah, you gotta love it. So number 4. Number 5, jerkbait. I'm not certain jerkbait's an all-around bait, but I know in the fall, when they're feeding on shad, man, and they're there, they're gonna hit this bad boy. You're gonna get some hits, so you're gonna have some fun, catch smallmouth off the jerkbait. And number 6, slow the roll, man. Right here, work it slow. The jig, that works, man. With a little salt and pepper, I mean, not salt and pepper, but pork rind. I don't have any pork rinds because I don't use it anymore, but back in the day, with this, with a little piece of pork rind on it, man, bam, used to kill it. And sometimes they'd be so aggressive, they hit this guy without even anything on it. So those are my 6 smallmouth bass setups that I use to catch smallmouth bass. Not just in Del Valle, but all over, you know, in the mother lode. I catch them in the mother lode, smallmouth. I caught them at Pardee. I caught them at Comanche. I caught smallmouth at Berryessa. So it works, man. But like I said, the main 2 I would go, if I was going, I would go Ned Rig and Carolina Rig first 2. Then Kitech number 3. But those are my 3 options. And yeah, that's my setups, man. If you guys have any questions, let's talk about it. If not, go out there and catch some smallies, man. They're going to be hitting pretty soon. The spawn will start. The water's rising. There's probably going to be a lot more fish in shallow this year with a lot more habitat. So it's going to be a good season, man. So get out there and catch some smallies. And I will catch you later. Later. Bye.